What is a large language model?
A good way to think of an LLM, large language model, is like a calculator for words and letters. Okay. Um, so you can imagine if you had every book that has ever been written in the world, you could imagine that if you were able to put all of those letters into a calculator, you would begin to learn that there are certain patterns where X percent of the time, a certain percentage of the time, one letter follows the next letter, right?
Hmm. So kind of like predictive text in our phones where we're texting and boom, the word pops up. You're probably going to say, go to the store,
Yes,
farm,
exactly.
doctor.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yep, you hit the nail on the head with that. So kind of similar to how numbers work. If you think about prime numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, there's a pattern that these numbers follow. And we can memorize the prime numbers. And if you recall in school, you would list them out, like list all the prime numbers you can until you don't know anymore.
Hmm.
But then you can imagine that if you understood what a prime number meant, you could then look at any number and determine, is this in fact a prime number? If you understood that, prime numbers just can't be divisible by anything.
Yeah. That's kind of the difference between like rote memorization and understanding.
Exactly, exactly. So we're going to talk a little bit about how are these things trained? So the highlighted, like, just so you're aware, these are just randomly highlighted text. They don't actually mean anything, but it's just a visual aid of how this thing works. So you see here, there is a T and an H right here. Some, the likely next letter to follow might be an E. And X percent of the time, E follows a T and an H. Okay.
Hmm.
Similar to like DID. So when they're training a large language model, when it's built and it does its initial building phase, it is reading through, I mean, billions and billions of pages of text like this. And then it begins to form a model of understanding that in this library of text that I am reading, I'm speaking as a large language model now. This library of text that I'm reading, there are patterns that begin to emerge. And then after that initial model is built, uh, there is then a process of post training that occurs.